This year's Jacobi Medallion recipients have been the highest exemplars of excellence in the medical field. They are great physicians, visionary researchers, exceptional educators, and skilled administrators. Each has made extraordinary contributions to the work of our healthcare system and the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai. The Jacobi Medallion is the greatest honor we bestow at Mount Sinai. Historically, we have selected 1 or 2 outstanding recipients per category each year. This year, there were so many exceptional candidates that we have selected 11 honorees. Each represents the best of the best in their respective areas. It is my honor to introduce each of them, and we thank them all for their extraordinary service to Mount Sinai. Congratulations on your selection as this year's Jacobi Medallion recipients. We are incredibly proud to call you colleagues and humbled to be in your company. Thank you for all you have done in the name of the Mount Sinai community and for the patients you serve so well.
In some ways, the brain is truly the final frontier of human biology, understanding the brain, but also understanding how it can go wrong and then how to fix that remains a massive challenge. And so that challenge always excited me. Sinai gave me free rein. I was encouraged to be almost an entrepreneur in sciences in the sense that if there was a good idea that I could go after, I was encouraged to do it. The work we have done here in psychiatry, in the Severe Autism Center, has revolutionized the field.
Joseph Buxbaum is world-renowned for his research into the biology of autism and other neurodevelopmental disorders. A brilliant scientist who really cares. Joe directs our Severe Autism Center. The team that Joe leads is geared to discover new treatments which are so badly needed.
My focus in disorders of the brain is on first trying to understand causes.
He and his laboratory have made transformational advances in our understanding of the biological basis of autism spectrum disorders.
To understand the underlying biology, you have to start with the basics. You have to start with the molecular building blocks of a cell and how it may lead to autism. But Joseph's contribution in autism are unparalleled.
We found to date over 185 genes that, when mutated, can cause autism. And each one of those is a thread that you can use to pull and understand more about how that gene contributes to normal brain development and how a mutation in that gene might cause a developmental disorder. To date, we have about 65,000 DNA samples that have been fully analyzed for all 20,000 genes in the genome, and we've found 185 autism genes within those genomes.
His contributions, as far as I'm concerned, really go beyond autism and neurodevelopmental disorders.
The legacy I'm most proud of is demonstrating unequivocally that autism and multiple psychiatric disorders will require precision medicine to benefit patients.
The idea is that a treatment that might work for an individual with mutation in gene X may not work for an individual with a mutation in gene Y and vice versa.
For families that are affected by psychiatric disorders, including autism, this is one of the most hopeful times. And every time we talk to families, that's what we hear them say, that they have been turned from worriers into warriors.
I really think that Joseph embodies part of what the medallion exemplifies. Service to Mount Sinai, accomplishments at Mount Sinai that distinguish our campus nationally and internationally as one of the world's leading biomedical institutions for research, education, and patient care.
This is the time of great hope. For me, the Jacobi Medallion is unique because it represents recognition from my colleagues, from my peers, and from my institution. You want to feel that you have a meaning to what you do. And I think for me, what drives me in my work is feeling like I'm doing something for others, or I'm trying to at least.
I grew up in the Chelsea Projects. We came from a very humble background. My parents were from Puerto Rico. I was born here. One time we had to take my father to the emergency department for an acute back pain that he had, and he couldn't move and he couldn't walk. And I remember noticing how everyone else was being taken care of. That's how it felt to me. And no one was caring for my father, who was crying, and my father never cried. That experience stayed with me because it made me feel like I didn't understand why that was the fact, but I knew it was wrong. And I knew that I wanted to help my community.
Through her leadership in emergency medicine, Yvette Calderon is a powerful voice for people with HIV, hepatitis C, and opiate or substance abuse disorders. Yvette was also a tireless advocate for patients and frontline healthcare workers during the height of the pandemic. Unafraid to speak about inequities revealed by COVID-19, Yvette demonstrated awesome resilience in the face of adversity.
Yvette is absolutely a champion of Mount Sinai's mission. One of our most important missions is to serve the underserved, to serve the people who are least likely to get the care they need unless we really do everything possible for them.
I chose emergency medicine because it's the entrance into the healthcare system. If I'm going to advocate for my patients and my community, I got to be able to help them be the voice that they don't have. In the emergency department, we become that voice.
Yvette really worked hard to transform how we deliver care downtown. It was probably the first month she was at Beth Israel. She was already knocking on doors to talk to the community, to find out what do they know about Mount Sinai Beth Israel.
My whole career has been dedicated to chipping away and contributing to the elimination of healthcare disparities.
She developed this whole novel approach to rapid HIV testing and got the patients not only tested, but arranged for follow-up for HIV disease.
I saw that the community downtown, they were struggling with hepatitis C. And that was something that no one was really looking at. No one was really screening for that. How can we play a part in eliminating that disparity?
She's identifying people with illnesses or who are at risk for illnesses that otherwise would be missed and could potentially live with those illnesses for a long time.
Over the course of the last 3 years, we have successfully treated a little over 200 patients, and they're cured. Many of them are cured, and the others are in the midst of getting cured.
By honoring Yvette Calderon for the Jacobi Medallion Award, we are honoring a woman who is the real trifecta, who represents clinical excellence, educational excellence, and research excellence.
The Jacobi Medallion is like the pinnacle of my career. All the best parts of medicine, all of it, is in the emergency department. Someone comes in and they're at the worst part of their day, their life, and they tell you everything that's wrong. It's a vulnerability. I feel honored to be their voice and their advocate. We're on a journey at Mount Sinai, and I think it's really exciting to think that we will be setting standards for how we provide care for our patients.
When I started in the field of gastroenterology, IBD, as we call inflammatory bowel disease, was a mystery, and it's still a mystery actually. And this is what stimulated my interest, because we didn't know the cause, we didn't know how to treat those patients, and I really wanted to increase knowledge. And when I was young, I said to myself, I would love to find a cure for the disease.
JeanFrederique Bell is a world leader in the understanding of IBD, bringing together scientists in local, national, and international collaborations to amplify their research efforts. Dr. Bell has made major discoveries that have benefited many patients suffering from severe forms of IBD.
When I came to Mount Sinai, I felt amazed by the possibilities. The sky is the limit, and I was thinking, okay, yes, this is where maybe I can reach the sky.
He was clearly France's top inflammatory bowel disease doctor, and arguably maybe the top IBD doctor in all of Europe. JeanFred joined the GI division at Mount Sinai in 2013, and he's been a cornerstone of our division ever since.
When I came to Sinai, my vision was first to create with all my colleagues a dedicated IBD center that didn't exist. where we will be able to give to the patient a kind of holistic care.
He is able to work with geneticists, pediatricians, microbiologists, nutritionists to try to dissect the threads of what is programming a person that culminates in inflammatory bowel disease.
If you can bring all those people together, you can be transformative.
I'd say more than revolutionizing the field of gastroenterology, he has transformed the revolutions that have come out of the laboratory.
If you are not creating, you are just following. We need to find new drugs. Myself and my team have discovered what is still the best serological marker in your blood of Crohn's disease, trying to find what can predict the disease and catch the disease even before the first symptom. We are able to achieve remission, meaning no more symptoms, in no more than 50% of our patients.
I think if we really take a 30,000-foot view of his accomplishments, it's really his impact on mentees and the next generation of investigators who will go and carry the torch and develop new understanding and new knowledge.
When I knew that I was receiving the Jacobi medallion, I was thinking, I was this French guy coming to US like 10 years ago, and I've been able to accomplish that. Sometimes it feels good when you see that your efforts are understood and recognized.
Mount Sinai was always a world leader in inflammatory bowel disease, going back decades. The world has always turned to Mount Sinai for discoveries. When JeanFred came here, he not only sustained that, but he brought us to new heights.
Pathology is that physician, scientist that you may not know. You rarely will see us, but we see you constantly. When you are born, we type your blood. If there is a little lump, we are going to be there to help you and your physicians beat the disease. They wanted to bring a mission and a vision into pathology, to bring pathology to the center of patient management.
Carlos Cordon Cardo is a world-famous pathologist who has seamlessly incorporated data science and genomics into improving the diagnosis of cancer. During the pandemic, Carlos developed crucial assays for the diagnosis of COVID-19 and for monitoring immunity.
What drives me essentially is that sense of curiosity and that journey that brings us into new spaces.
Dr. Cordon Cardo has revolutionized cancer therapeutics, in particular for bladder cancer and prostate cancer, and our understanding of why it starts and why these cancers progress. He has helped create the discipline of molecular pathology, which was a non-existent discipline a couple of decades ago.
We are interested in better defining the cell in which the origin of some diseases may happen. Over the years, we have learned which are the markers, how to address these markers, how to better use them. Prostate cancer now is a disease that we cure in many, many, many instances, and bladder cancer is a disease in which new paradigms are being tested.
During COVID, Dr. Cordon Cardo's leadership was critical. One of the reasons that Mount Sinai led the world in the early days of the pandemic was because of his vision. His leadership during the early stages of the COVID pandemic was to take discoveries that were being made in the laboratory and to rapidly bring them into a clinical testing laboratory. And so we could perform those tests literally at the bedside.
We felt that we were a team working with a larger team in a way that, like in music, that symphony came with a good deal of harmony and with a great deal of passion.
By honoring Dr. Cordon Cardo as the Jacobi Medallion Award, we are honoring a man who will leave a legacy of mentorship, of scientific innovation, of translational research and cancer therapeutics.
What an honor. What a wonderful moment for the department and for all of us to celebrate that our work is being recognized. I would hope that the legacy that we leave behind is that of a curious individual that has been able to change some of the paradigms, leaving the door open to keep these paradigms, to keep changing. That's what gives me the strength to come to work every day. I feel proud to be part of this team.
There's no tribe in the world that doesn't give their appearance some importance because it means something to them. It's not trivial. It's important to enter the story of a person and to see them on a spectrum, not as a moment in time, but as a full movie, and to see how the choices that you make with them can be truly transformative.
Yves Lahi is internationally recognized for his expertise in ophthalmic, plastic, and reconstructive surgery, deeply engaged in both the clinic and the lab. Yves has widened his vision to incorporate global health issues and is a great mentor to our students and residents in his clinical practice.
I came to Mount Sinai without knowing much. I absolutely fell in love with the place. I've always been interested in finding solutions to problems for which solutions do not exist.
He inspires me every time I'm with him. I'm inspired by his passion, his knowledge, and I am inspired by his humanism.
I've worked on a number of patents to transform the shape of the face. So much of current technology involves deciding on the final appearance of an implant ahead of time, but we get that wrong a lot. And that led me to think of a way to overcome that issue by being able to implant, and then transform the shape postoperatively. And the shape is not purely just aesthetics. It may involve an implant on the eyelids for patients with facial nerve paralysis.
I think Dr. Lahi's greatest accomplishments include really furthering the field of international ophthalmology.
I think one of the foundations of Mount Sinai is giving to our communities. We give to our local community, but we also give to our global communities. And Yves has been very much involved on both levels.
We go with a group of people for weeks or months at a time in certain places. We have had a very significant impact. In Mongolia, we've seen over 12,000 patients. We've had a tremendous amount of work that we've done in West Africa, where, again, we've seen thousands of patients and hundreds of surgeries.
It's not just a voyeuristic approach, let me go do a surgery, come home. He's been very active in identifying needs of communities, and once those needs are identified, finding the resources to meet that need.
When I was told that I'm receiving the Jacobi medallion, I was truly humbled.
He has tirelessly worked to advance the field of medicine and bring out the best in the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai and the Mount Sinai Health System.
The joy of being a healer, a caregiver, a practitioner. There's a joy to that, but you need to be able to feel it. You need to be able to experience it. And you need to be conscious of it and mindful of it. I think there's something very special about medicine. I think physicians have a different role in society. I try to live up to that.
If I go back in time to see why I went into this area, I was always fascinated by human creativity and innovation. Medicine has the highest rate of innovation. And I was just fascinated by the fact that there was very little know-how about how medical innovations are discovered, developed, adopted, and ultimately disseminated into clinical practice. Those were the factors that really inspired me, and I hope to make a difference in that respect in important areas of medicine.
Anatine Alliance is a spectacular innovator in clinical trials and is internationally recognized as an expert in health policy. The results from the clinical trials she has led has improved treatments for millions of patients.
Clinical trials are the gold standard to figure out if something works or doesn't. What we really want to do is change the clinical trials landscape at Mount Sinai.
It was through her efforts that she developed the architecture for a clinical trials program at Mount Sinai in advancing the care of patients with heart failure. So she's really very much responsible for the way it looks now.
One of the biggest impacts that Anatine's research has had is in the area of the left ventricular assist devices. For patients who have severe congestive heart failure, they were quite limited in what the options were.
We did a lot of research in end-stage heart failure. At the time that we did that research, the only alternative for patients was cardiac transplantation, but as you know, there's a limited number of donor hearts in this country. And so what we started to do was to look at a left ventricular assist device, which is a partial artificial heart. We found that in patients with advanced heart failure, survival was doubled by this device.
The whole field of mechanical circulatory support got off the ground and became an approved therapy by the FDA and gave patients a new treatment and a new life.
By honoring Dr. Anatine Alliance with a Jacobi medallion, we are honoring a woman who is a mom, a great friend, a great mentor, and researcher who has contributed tremendously to the growth of not just our department, but the integration of the research and the work that we do.
When I got a call and somebody said, "You got the Jacobi medallion," I was so surprised. I really hadn't seen that coming. And I just was thrilled. It's just the highest form of excellence at Mount Sinai, from health equity to improving healthcare delivery. The idea of medicine is that we continuously innovate and improve. So what you really hope to do is to inspire a next generation of scientists that will do research better than what you've done, and that will provide more important discoveries and therapies than we've done in our time.